Hey y'all, I'm Ryan Gomillion, your Austin real estate expert, and today I want to cover an important topic for students: getting in-state tuition at UT Austin. If you're wondering what it takes to qualify as a Texas resident for tuition purposes, you're in the right place. In today's video, I'm going to break down the 5 most common questions about establishing Texas residency for in-state tuition at UT. Remember, paying in-state tuition can save you thousands of dollars, so knowing the residency requirements is key. I'll walk you through the process, documents you need, and even some special cases. So if you're planning to apply to UT Austin or are already a student, this information could make a big difference in your college expenses. Let's get started. All right, first question. How long do you need to live in Texas to be considered a resident for in-state tuition? The general rule is pretty straightforward. You, or your parents, if you're financially dependent, need to live in Texas for 12 consecutive months before the start of the semester. This 12-month period means you must have established Texas as your permanent home and have lived in the property. The key here is consecutive. There's no pausing or splitting time between Texas and another state, nor can it be an investment property that you are not living in. Now you might be wondering, what if I'm only in Texas temporarily for school? If you're here just to attend college and you return home to another state during breaks, that usually won't count. You'll need to show that Texas is your primary, long-term state of residence. Basically, you've got to live like a true Texan for at least a year. Also, keep in mind that if you're financially dependent upon your parents, they'll need to meet the 12-month residency requirement as well. So what exactly do you need to prove that you've established residency? UT Austin requires more than just your word. You'll need a combination of documents that prove your Texas domicile. These include a Texas driver's license or state ID, employment records, and property ownership documents. These help show that Texas is where you've planted your roots. Some other documents you can provide include voter registration in Texas and tax returns showing Texas as your home state. You may also need to prove that you've been financially independent or self-supporting for at least 12 months, which could include employment pay stubs or bank records. If your parents are the one establishing residency for you, their documents will count instead. Here's a tip. The more documents you can provide, the better your chances of proving residency. Keep everything organized and ready to go. UT Austin takes this process seriously, so make sure your paperwork is solid before you submit your application for in-state tuition. Here's a big question that I get a lot. What if you're financially dependent on your parents, but they live out of state? Can you still qualify for in-state tuition? In most cases, if you're financially dependent on your parents, you'll need to rely on their residency. This means if your parents live in another state, it's unlikely you'll qualify for in-state tuition at UT Austin. But don't give up just yet. There are exceptions to this rule. If you've lived in Texas for at least 3 years before graduating high school, you might still be able to qualify through the Texas High School Residency Rule. Essentially, even if your parents are elsewhere, your long-term residency and education in Texas can help you out. This rule can make a big difference, especially for students who have been living with relatives or on their own in Texas. You may still be considered a Texas resident if you meet this requirement, but it's essential to provide documentation showing you were enrolled and living in Texas during high school. Now, what if you didn't attend high school in Texas? Another method students can use is establishing themselves as financially independent and purchasing real estate in Austin. This would allow you to establish domicile and apply for in-state tuition through the residency route. You would need to physically live in this property for at least 12 consecutive months before applying for in-state tuition. This is a common practice around UT, and there are quite a few methods of going about this, and it can be a great investment opportunity. Working with a knowledgeable agent like myself can help guide you through the process. A thoughtfully planned real estate purchase can help you apply for in-state tuition, save on you or your child's rent costs, and allow you to tap into the advantageous real estate market in Austin. What if you're working full-time in Texas but haven't lived here for 12 months yet? Does working while attending UT qualify you for in-state tuition? Unfortunately, no. Even if you're working full-time, the 12-month residency rule still applies. Moving to Texas for work doesn't automatically make you eligible for in-state tuition, even if you've secured a full-time job and are contributing to the local economy. You'll still need to prove you've been living and working in Texas for at least a year before applying. During this 12-month period, you should make sure you're doing things like obtaining a Texas driver's license, registering your car in Texas, paying state taxes, and generally showing that Texas is your new permanent home. This is especially important for people who move to Texas to work and to go to school. Just remember that if you're planning on attending UT Austin, you'll need to plan ahead and make sure that 12-month period is passed before you apply for in-state tuition. Last but not least, what if your residency status is unclear or your application gets denied? Can you appeal UT's decision? The good news is, yes, you can appeal. UT Austin has a residency appeals process for situations where a student believes their residency status was incorrectly determined. The appeal allows you to submit additional evidence or clarify any part of your residency case that may have been misunderstood. If you get denied, don't panic. You can take the opportunity to explain your situation in more detail. This might include providing new documents, explaining a complicated living arrangement, or offering proof of financial independence if necessary. Just remember to act quickly. Appeals have deadlines. The key to a successful appeal is providing as much documentation as possible. UT Austin needs to see that you met the residency criteria, even if your case isn't straightforward. So gather any extra paperwork you might have and make your case clearly and confidently. So there you have it. Establishing residency for in-state tuition at UT takes a bit of planning, but it's definitely doable. Whether you're moving to Texas soon or you're already here, make sure you're prepared with the right documents and timelines to save big on tuition. Qualifying for in-state tuition can make a huge difference in your college expenses, so it's worth taking the time to get your residency status sorted out. Plan ahead, gather your documents, and make sure you understand the requirements before applying. If you've got any more questions, drop them in the comments below. And make sure to like and subscribe for more Austin and Austin real estate content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.